Hello everyone, it is Sunday, June 7th. This is it's stream number 5, gotten all the way up to number 5. 5 weeks in a row now for Books and Beer. I am Jen Baker, and we will be talking about books, we'll be talking about writing, we'll be talking about beer. I am drinking, or about to start drinking, a beer. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. If by chance you are viewing this and you do not have a Twitch account, so you can't get into the chat room, you can go to the Discord server. I have a text chat on Discord. It is at https://discord.gg, Discord, capital G, capital P, capital N, lowercase r, capital C, and capital B. It is Shadow's Edge Twitch stream, and the text channel is Books and Beer. You can drop a question or a hello in there. You can also do it in the chat room. On Twitch, if you have a Twitch account, let me know you're listening. And I will be more than happy to give you a shout out, say hi, answer any questions or anything like that. So please give me just a minute while I move things around a little bit so I can actually see what I'm trying to look at, because I do have some notes, quite a few notes actually, so I don't have to try to read small print. I do have my glasses on, and that does mean that I have to remove them if I'm reading something small. So, alright, so what am I drinking today? I am drinking a French Quarter Temptress from Lakewood Brewing Company in Garland, Texas. The Temptress series is one that I really like. They are milk stouts, or imperial milk stouts actually. And essentially the base is just a simple imperial milk stout, and it blends really well with a lot of other things, so they have done a series of them. Probably one of my absolute favorites is the Sin Mint Temptress, and it tastes like a Girl Scout Thin Mint cookie. The French Quarter Temptress is vanilla imperial milk stout with bourbon barrel aged coffee beans and a little bit of chicory. Okay. The slogan that they have on their bottle, and this is the bottle. Oops, sorry, I know that's moving around quite a bit. And I'm drinking out of the wrong kind of glass, but it's because I was being lazy and I didn't grab the actual glass. But the logo, or motto, actually I need to do it that way because that's the way you can read it. For whichever neighborhood you call home. Okay. What they have on the label. Hey, Mom. Good to see you. What they have on the label. Since the Temptress is so easily mingles with bold flavors and ingredients, we created the Seduction series, limited variations of our sinfully sultry brew. You don't have to hitch a ride to Nolans for some true Crescent City flavor, using a unique blend of freshly roasted bourbon barrel aged Peruvian Cajamarca coffee beans and a touch of chicory. This elixir has a particular joie de vivre you simply can't resist. You'll taste rich coffee, a hint of spice, and Fat Tuesday. And they made this in collaboration with the Noble Coyote Coffee Roasters. This is 9.1% ABV, and they do suggest pairing it with creme brulee, beignets, and Voodoo Magic. I think I'm going to skip on the Voodoo Magic. So again, it's really dark. It's got a nice tan head on it, even after having been poured and sitting in the glass for a few minutes. Really opaque, really dark. It's really sweet too. I can see why they say to pair it with creme brulee and beignets. So if you listened to last week, you know I went back to work on Monday. Went back into the building on Monday. I got through the first week back, though not a lot of work got done by my team because we had computer problems for the first day or so. In fact, I didn't even have a computer at my desk until about halfway through the first day. And because they have not yet released the work to us. People on my team are starting to receive their laptops that were mailed to them. So there is a possibility that in another week or two I may be working from home. I would still be doing my job, I just would be doing it here at home rather than having to drive in. And I have to say I am not particularly confident in the cleaning that's going on at work in the building. They're cleaning the floors, they're cleaning the restrooms, they're not cleaning the desks, and although we're not supposed to be sharing desks, that doesn't mean that somebody might not be sitting there. We are required to wear a mask in the building, although if we're at our desks, and most of us are in like 3/4 height cubicles, then when we're in our cubicle by ourselves, we can take the mask off. So it's been interesting. We've been doing a lot of review and refresher work, but it's starting to get to the point where we really need some actual work to do. So we'll see what happens at this coming week. I'm going to start off with what I've been listening to this week. I finished Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I'm kind of sad that I finished it. And I'm debating on whether to start The Audacity of Hope by Barack Obama, or to start listening to one of the fiction audiobooks that I have. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to do yet. I need to decide before I leave for work tomorrow, because that's when I listen to it. I have not started any of the new Queer Eye audiobooks because I haven't been out walking, which is when I usually listen, when I promised myself I would listen to them. So I'm going to have to try to get out and do some walking so I can listen to those books. Now, the new season is streaming on Netflix as of this past Friday. I have already finished it. And unfortunately, season 6 was supposed to be shot here in Austin. In fact, the guys were all here in town when the pandemic hit. So I do not know what's gonna happen with that. Okay, print books. The past few episodes, I have mentioned that I've been reading Essays and Letters by Seneca from On the Shortness of Life. That was the nice little book. I finished the last one this week. It's called On Tranquility of Mind, and it was about 38 pages. It starts out with a letter from Seneca's friend Serenus, and Serenus is asking advice of Seneca on the subject of how to obtain a tranquil mind. In the portion that is his letter, which is it's just about a page or two really, he says those vices that only arise occasionally are the hardest to conquer, and that he's afraid the habit of trying to conquer them may be harmful in and of itself. The way he puts it is, but I'm afraid that habit, which induces firmness of things, may drive this fault more deeply into me. Long association brings love of evil as well as good. So, I kind of almost take that to mean that long association with something not so much brings a love of evil, but brings a love that will, regardless of whether it's good or bad, evil or good. Make excuses for the bad things. Okay, so Seneca's response is the remaining 36 pages or so. And one of the first things he does is define tranquility of mind. He says, we are therefore seeking how the mind can follow a smooth and steady course, well disposed to itself, happily regarding its own condition and with no interruption to this pleasure, but remaining in a state of peace with no ups and downs. That will be tranquility. So, I'm not sure that I would necessarily want tranquility, not by that definition of it. Kind of what makes life interesting is those ups and downs. Not that I like the downs, but something that was always tranquil, to me, sounds like it would be boring. Other people may feel differently. To me, that's kind of how I would feel. So he goes on to advise Serenus that knowing oneself is probably the most important part of acting in a way to bring yourself tranquility of mind. He says, above all, it's essential to appraise oneself because we usually overestimate our capabilities. Then we must appraise the actual things we are attempting and match our strength to what we are going to undertake. Basically, if you undertake something beyond your strength, the last thing you're going to have is tranquility. So you have to be careful to know what your strength is, what you're capable of, and then match that to what you're going to try to do. He also says to choose who you help carefully and to help those to whom your efforts are going to make a difference. Not necessarily that they are going to recognize you for the help, but that it's going to make a difference for them. He goes on to advise Serenus to hold to good fortune as if it was only loaned to him, as a good steward of it, and ready to return it in better shape than what he received it in, and to plan for the worst of all possibilities so that they won't be a surprise if and when they happen. To be moderate in both work and leisure, and to be authentic, because being inauthentic causes stress and anxiety as you try to keep that inauthentic mask up and keep people from seeing through it. There's a nice kind of layer of bitterness underneath all the sweet, so that it's not like sweet enough to make your teeth ache. Okay, so like I said, that was the last essay in on the shortness of life, and there's a lot about the Stoic philosophies that that I connect with. But at least, especially with Seneca, to me, he takes some of it to an extreme, and that is things like the definition of tranquility, basically having no ups and downs. On the other hand, I very much am a person who plans for the worst possibilities so that I won't be surprised if and when they happen, and in most of the time I'm pleasantly surprised because they don't happen. So the next book of the Stoics that I'm going to read is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So we'll see how I feel about that. That's more, from what I understand, that's more him writing stuff basically to himself rather than to other people. So it's possible that that may sit a little closer with me. Okay. And my mom's asking why I'm drinking beer from a wine glass. Because the proper beer glass for this particular beer is in the dishwasher. And the closest thing I had was a wine glass. It's the one and only wine glass I actually own. So I could have drank it out of a pint glass if I'd wanted to, but I didn't really want to drink it out of a pint glass. So I'm drinking it out of a wine glass. Okay, the other nonfiction book that I did read a chapter out of this week was The 10 Commandments of Author Branding by Sheila Raquel. I talked about chapter 5 last week. This week I read chapter 6, which is Honor Thy Book Ambassadors and Reviews. Book ambassadors are those loyal fans who will fangirl or fanboy over your books and tell other people to read them. So they do marketing for you by word of mouth. And the way most people read, especially now that we can't go into bookstores and pick up books and, read a few pages or turn the book over and read the blurb, is by word of mouth. So book ambassadors can be quite important. I don't really have any right now. That's something I'm working on building up. And family doesn't count as book ambassadors because family kind of has to say good things most of the time. Okay. Forgot to change some of my notes there. Last week's stuff will not help me. Okay. But basically what she recommends is choose a specific goal that you want to have in terms of your book ambassadors. Do you want to get a lot of pre-orders? Do you want to get a lot of reviews? Do you want them to go out and tell people about the book? Things like that. Prepare your website and your social media. Make sure there's a place for people to sign up for your mailing list and all that kind of stuff when they get to your site. Get people excited, especially your book ambassadors, about what you're trying to do. Get them involved. Maybe give away a book. Maybe give away some swag, something like that. Show off their art or reviews or things that they do related to your book. And then be a book ambassador for other authors. Now, I haven't done this online, but I am a book ambassador for other authors in person. I'm always recommending my favorite authors to other people. So, Sheila also recommends pitching your book to book bloggers and other influencers, but only after you've established some kind of relationship with them. You've responded to their tweets, you've posted comments on Facebook posts, things like that. She does say respond to fans when they tweet or tag you on social media. And I can understand that because there are some authors that when I comment or reply to a tweet that they've done and they respond to me or acknowledge that, it makes my day. So as an author with books out there and fans, one of the things I would want to do is to try to respond when they do something like that, in hopes that that would make their day like it would make mine. Okay. And the last thing she says, and this has to do with the last part of that title of the chapter, don't take negative reviews as reflections of who you are. Every author gets negative reviews. Sometimes it's even from someone who hasn't actually read the book or read the book even though they already knew it wasn't the kind of book that they normally read. But those are opinions. It's that person's opinion. It's not a reflection on you as a person. And it's possible there might be some good constructive criticism in there as well. If they say they had to stop reading the book because there were too many misspelled words, then you need to take that as constructive criticism, that you need to get another pair of eyes on the next book before you put it out. So that is something to keep in mind. I know a lot of authors who don't look at the reviews at all. Some of them because they know that they're going to take it personally. So they won't read the reviews at all. And this is the book. It is available online if you want to buy it. I got to meet Shayla at Writers in the Field, which is a 2-day event up near Dallas with a lot of specialists in different areas to help you do research on specific things that you might be using in your books. I learned how to pick locks. I got to talk with Secret Service and FBI officers. Some of my friends from the SCA were out there showing things like dyeing and weaving. They had some people out there with horses. They had not NASA, but they had a group out there that works with NASA and does a lot of research on the things that you're going to encounter out in space. So that was a lot of fun for me. You'd be surprised just how easy it is to pick a padlock and to slip the lock on a door. Now, not a deadbolt, but the regular lock on the door. It's actually really, that credit card trick that they show in movies and TV, yeah, that actually works. So I wouldn't advise relying on just that lock in your door, either at home or anyplace else. And I was picking master padlocks in about 10 minutes after I first picked up the pick. Some of them took me a little bit longer than others, but they weren't that hard to pick. If you want to learn how to pick a lock, you might consider taking a locksmith course. Because if you get certified as a locksmith, then you can actually carry lock picks. And I know that because the person who was teaching the lock picking class is registered as a locksmith. So she told us that. Oh, explosives. Learned about explosives. Got to talk with some guys about medieval weaponry, which was fun. So yeah, Writers in the Field in Texas. I got a hotel room, but you can camp on site too. I just didn't feel like camping on site. Okay, I have not read any ebooks this week, and in fact, I haven't gotten a lot of other reading done because I did go back to work, so I didn't have as much time. I did start reading The Gathering of Shadows. By V.E. Schwab or Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic series. And the back blurb is, Black London fell because of magic like this. What horror would it bring to the Londons that remained? To the starving white, or the ripened red, or the defenseless gray? It's been 4 months since the mysterious stone fell into Kell's possession. 4 months since he crossed paths with Delilah Bard. Now, while his own city is caught up in the pageantry and thrills of a cross-empire magical competition, a once-lost London is returning to life. But the balance of magic is ever perilous, and for one city to flourish, another London must die. Which I find interesting because at one point in time, in the past in these books, all 4 Londons were active, and all 4 Londons had places where you could pass from one to the other. And now the only people who can pass from one to another are people like Kell. He has a very special kind of magic, and there are only a couple of other people in all the parallel worlds that can and do that have that kind of magic and can. Grey London would be the equivalent of our world. White London has essentially had most of the magic drained out of it, and if someone with a lot of magic goes to White London, it literally tries to drain that magic out of them. Red London is where Kell is from. Delilah Bard, who's mentioned in this, is from Grey London, from our London. And then Black London was a place where magic literally ruled, where magic was an entity as much as something that people used. So, and something went wrong, and Black London ended up getting walked away from the other 3 Londons. So apparently now Black London is starting to rise again. And what happened in the first book is that this black stone came into Kell's possession as he was traveling through the different Londons, and he met Delilah Bard in Grey London when she tried to rob him. That didn't go over very well. Delilah is a thief. Most of her victims think she is a man because she dresses as a man all the time. She wants to be a pirate. She doesn't know how to sail, but she wants to be a pirate. She wants to be on the sea. And Kell is the adopted son of the royal family in Red London. And Grey London's native language, English, is spoken only by the royals and the high nobility in Red London. Which in the first book got Delilah some really odd looks, because of course she doesn't speak the language that most people in Red London speak. She speaks English. So I haven't gotten very far. I'm only like 2 chapters in, and those chapters have both been about Delilah. One of the things I do love about these books, and this is not the collector's edition, this is just a regular paperback trade edition, but each new chapter has an illustration on the page that starts it. So, and I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, those dark lines, those are the pages where the new chapters start. So, like I said, I'm not very far into it. That person on the front, that's Delilah. Now, one of the things about the people like Kell is that they have one eye is normal color and the other eye is all black. Like, not just the iris, like the whole eye is black. In the first book, you learn that Delilah has a glass eye. And being that I'm a writer, my brain said, hey, wait a minute. I wonder if she's like Kell and just doesn't know it because she grew up in Grey London. Towards the end of the first book, she does some things that a normal person can't do. And while it hasn't been come out and said it yet, I'm very much still of the opinion that she is like Kell. Now, this book's been out for a while. The third one is out. Like I said, the author a couple of years ago when I got a chance to meet her told me not to read the second book unless I had the third book available, and I do have the third book available. So, when I finish this, I will be able to jump straight into the third one, because apparently she ends the second one on a cliffhanger that apparently I'm not going to like. So we will see. She has one of her passion projects that either just came out or is coming out, called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I want to get my hands on that one too. I've got 2 other first books in other series that she's written as well. But at the end of the first book, Delilah and Kell basically beat the rulers of White London, and they came back, and Delilah decided to go her own way, despite the fact she didn't know the language other than English, and despite the fact that Kell wanted her to stay. And this one starts with her very clearly having gone her own way. Starts with her in a rowboat with a small hole in it, with her hands bound, trying apparently to get herself rescued. Supposedly having been thrown off the ship she was on. At the end of the chapter, we find out that actually she wasn't thrown off of the ship that she was on. She was on a bet. She actually was part of a pirate ship. And she had a bet that she could basically take down another pirate ship single-handed, and that was how she did it. So that it starts with her trying to get herself rescued, and then the chapter ends with the pirate ship that she's actually part of pulling up alongside the pirate ship whose crew is now all unconscious and or dead, and her taking her winnings, which are actually blades, because she likes knives, and as far as she's concerned, you can never have too many. And the next chapter goes back to when she walked away from Kel and how she ended up on the pirate ship that she's on. Now that chapter ended with her on that ship, basically having gained the right to be a crew member, but most of the crew doesn't like her. She still only speaks a little bit of the language, and she doesn't really know what the captain thinks other than he's giving her a chance. So I still have a bit to go to find out how she gained his trust, because the first chapter ended up with her and him sitting at a table in the captain's cabin having a drink. And the captain telling her that based on her success in this bet, most of the crew is probably afraid of her. And her asking him, they're not all afraid of me yet? So we'll see where that's going to go. One of the fun things about these books, Kel has this coat. And it changes. He turns it inside out in various different ways. And it changes to suit whichever London he's in, or whatever circumstance he's in. So if he needs a formal coat in Grey London, he turns it inside out in different ways, and he gets an appropriate coat. And if he's with his adopted family in Red London for a celebration or a parade or something like that, he turns it another way and it turns into a red formal coat. There's at least 4 or 5 different versions of the coat that I've seen so far in the books. I believe there's more. And so that's very interesting. Now he's lost 2 of the places that were commonalities in all the Londons. The one in Red London disappeared, or was burned down. The one in Grey London was a tavern, and the owner of the tavern was possessed by, I don't know if he was possessed by the Black Stone from Black London or by something in the stone from Black London. But that thing basically goes from body to body, but it's so magical that it basically burns out the bodies that it's in. So it possesses them, and then it seeks out another body when the body it's in is about to die. And the only way to safely kill it would be to do it from a distance, because if you, say, stab it, it can flow from the body it's in through the weapon to you. So you'd have to kill it from a distance, and it would probably just kill the body, and whatever's possessing it would probably be stuck in the body until someone came to move it, and then it would possess whoever was moving the body. So there's certain things I like about Delilah, but she is kind of bloodthirsty. She's kind of ruthless. Not like she has a whole lot of options, though. Or at least she didn't in Grey London. She was born poor, and there wasn't going to be any way for her to work her way up. So she took to thieving. The owner of the inn in Grey London who got possessed and died was one of her friends. So she doesn't really have anything in Grey London to go back for. Let's see, is there anything else? The Shades of Magic series was published by Tor Books. And Victoria, the author, Victoria Schwab, kind of was going fangirly on Twitter the other day, because she's doing a live stream with Neil Gaiman, and she is a huge fan of his, so she was kind of going fangirl about the fact that when she posted the notice about it, about the fact that she was going to get to not just talk to Neil Gaiman, but actually participate in a stream as one of the main people with Neil Gaiman. Which reminds me, I'm kind of thinking I want to watch Good Omens again. It's on Netflix. Or not Netflix, on Amazon. Now Victoria's writings do tend to be fairly dark. They're fairly intense character studies, really. Not only about what the person is when we meet them and what they become, which is part of the story, of course, but about why they're that way. So you get a lot of their thinking as well. That's one of the things about the first chapter in A Gathering of Shadows, because it's from Delilah's point of view, and Delilah's an unreliable narrator. She's supposed to be, because she's being bait for another pirate ship. She's supposed to be she's supposed to have been abandoned, or not abandoned, but thrown off of her old ship. And she's supposed to be somewhat vulnerable. But because you've read the first book, by the time you get to this one, you know that that's not Delilah. So you know that she's not as helpless as it looks like she is. but you don't know what she's up to until she gets taken aboard the other pirate ship, and that ship's captain has her taken down to his cabin while they go after her the ship that supposedly threw her off. Only then do you start to get the hint that actually she planned the whole thing. So she's a bit of an unreliable narrator, and you know that going in. So you kind of, most of the time, are going, okay, Delilah, what are you up to now? I'm not sure how long it's going to take for her and Kel to end up in the same place again. I mentioned Kel was adopted by the royal family. They have a son of their own. His name is Rhys. And Kel has enormous enormous amounts of magic. Rhys has almost none. I mean, everybody in Red London has some magic, but Rhys has very, very little. And the magic there is elemental magic, which is not what, well, Kel has it, but Kel has something else too. So Rhys, if I remember correctly, has weak fire magic. I could be wrong, but I think it's weak fire magic. Rhys is your typical spoiled prince. And he doesn't want to work at his magic, because as far as he's concerned, he doesn't have enough of it to make it worth working at. He doesn't feel like he's got a real purpose, even though he is the heir apparent. And he and Kel are actually tied together because he got attacked and would have died except for Kel basically tied their lives together. So we'll see what goes on with that. Because I do follow Victoria Schwab online, some of her followers post pictures of like pages of the books or certain things having to do with the relationships between characters. So while I have tried to stay away from any spoilers, I do know that certain relationships are going to happen, and I'm not sure how they're going to get there. Not sure exactly how that's going to work. I'm also expecting Reese to become resentful of the fact that he and Kel's lives are tied together. Because that just, he didn't ask Kel to do it. He would not have wanted Kel to do it had he been conscious and capable of protesting at the time. And I think he's gonna end up feeling some sort of guilt that turns into resentment. That his life and Kel's are tied together. So, and I do know that there's going to be a falling out between Kel and his adopted parents. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Okay. Alright, I did not read any ebooks this week. I didn't even use any of my ebooks this week. I did work on doing some more setting up for my World Bible for my Double Helix books. Reorganize some more of the digital files. I did not get any new words written, which that was kind of one of the things I really wanted to do this week, so I'm kind of disappointed with that. But I did find some notebooks for some other stories. Stories that I want to write, but I can't yet until I get the Double Helix stuff up and published. So one of the ones that I found was my paranormal investigation agency that is run by a Gorgon. And one of the characters is a shout out to a friend of mine at work. So he was brainstorming ideas for the story with me, and so I said, you know, if I were to write a character for you, what would you like that character to be like? And so it's not him, it's the character that he wanted. I mentioned, I think the past 2 weeks actually, that I needed to get my hands on Discord for Dummies. I could have gotten it off of Amazon or Kobo. I could have gotten an e-version that way, or even a paperback version from Amazon. But I didn't want to order from either one of those. I was going to order it from Book People, our local indie, the biggest indie in Austin, and have them ship it to me. But then I realized that T and Pip, that would be T. Morris and Philippa Valentine, have their own direct sale shop for a lot of their books. And T has Discord for Dummies up on that. So I went ahead and ordered that, as well as a couple other books that I wanted. The other books are art fiction books that they have written, and those are going to be signed and personalized. I don't know if Discord for Dummies will actually be signed by T or not. I didn't ask for it to be signed, but I certainly wouldn't have an issue with it if it was. So I'm just waiting for that to arrive. And as soon as that arrives, then I will set some stuff up, and then hopefully I'll be able to start interviewing people, or at least having some of my friends who also like books and beer or books and other adult beverages on with me, which I think would be a lot of fun. T's already said he would come on at some point, but I want to get enough episodes underneath my belt that he's not so much doing me a favor as it would be if he were to do this now, if he were to come on now. And I already told him I have some Dogfish Head beers in my fridge waiting for that particular episode to happen. So, that will be fun. Now, this is episode number 5. Episode number 8 is going to fall on my birthday. So, I will be drinking a special beer. I don't know what it will be yet, but it will be one that I've been holding on to. I'm thinking it may be a Firestone Walker, either Parabola or Velvet Merkin. I think the Velvet Merkin I have was their special brew for 2018, and I think the Parabola is 2019, but I might have this backwards. So I'll be having a special beer on the stream in 3 weeks. That is only that. I was hoping it was going to be episode 10, but it's only going to be episode 8. So yeah, this was episode 5, and I had a special beer for this one. I'll have a special beer for episode 8 because it's my birthday, and then I'll have a special beer on episode 10 because it's episode 10. And then I probably won't have another special beer till like episode 20 or 25. By that point, hopefully I'll have enough of this. I'll have this going enough that I will be able to get tea on. I actually have had a couple of other Dogfish Head beers. I think I had one either last week or the week before. I think it was last week, the IPA. Flesh and Blood, the Blood Orange IPA. But the ones that I have sitting in my fridge are the Palo Santo and Midas Touch. Midas Touch is a recreation of a very, very, very old beer. Okay, that is all that I have for tonight. If you've missed any of the episodes, because Twitch will only stream them for so long, they are up on YouTube. It's Books and Beer, not Books and Beers. Okay? Books and Beers is something else. I do not have enough views or enough followers at this point to have a personalized URL. Hopefully at some point I will have one, and when I do, I will put it up. And I will let everybody know on the stream know where you can find them. But for now, you'll have to look for Books and Beer. I also have the streams from my games, when I stream my games, up there. And they all have their own playlists. Tomorrow is Mixed Up Manic Monday. I am trying to decide whether I'm going to play Mini Ninjas again or if I'm going to play something else. Mondays are Mondays, and sometimes I just kind of need a break. And other times I just want to try something new, and that's what I'm doing on Mondays. So Mondays are Mixed Up Manic Mondays. Wednesdays are Wicked Wednesdays. Right now I'm playing Assassin's Creed 2. And Fridays are Final Fantasy Fridays. I was going to be switching between Final Fantasy VII, the original, and the remake. But the remake is actually only like the first third of the original. And they've added a bunch of side quests and mini storylines into it. So in the original, I've gotten through 2 missions with Avalanche, and now they're trying to blow up Shinra headquarters. But I've only gone through 1 mission with Avalanche in the second one. And a little side mission with one of the members of Avalanche, as well as making a reputation as a merc. But I'm nowhere near where I am in the original. So I'm going to be playing the remake that came out this year until I get at least to where the sector plate falls or is dropped. And then we'll see at that point. I finally got software I need to get use my phone as a second camera. So hopefully, with any luck, on Tuesday I will be streaming some kind of crafting. I don't know whether I am going to be doing a troll house, troll clothes, or whether I'm going to be doing something along the lines of medieval calligraphy or something like that. I might do some jewelry making. I might do some crocheting. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. I might do some sculpey work, although I'm not good at that. But I have something I need to do for fair next year. So we'll see if it all works out correctly, if the software is working the way it's supposed to and does act as a second camera, and I can get Twitch to use that camera as well as my webcam. Then I'll be doing that probably on Tuesday and Thursday. So hopefully you'll tune in some during the week and see some of my gaming and some of my crafting. But if not, hopefully you will tune in again next Sunday. I will tell you more about this book because I will have more of it read. I will tell you some more about the author branding. Like I said, it will probably be some of Marcus Aurelius's meditations. Hopefully Discord for Dummies will have arrived by then. And hopefully I will have had a chance to start listening to some more books as well. So until then, enjoy your favorite story. Cheers. Have a good week.